All right, folks, welcome back to the ISD Official Visit Podcast. I'm your host, Christian McCullum. We got another very special guest for you today. I have this unofficial list of my favorite coaches in America, is what I call them. And no matter how short that list gets, I think if I was really being serious, it'd probably be about 3 or 4 coaches. However short that gets, this guy would be on it. Longtime head coach at Los Angeles Cathedral High School. He's now at Warren High School. Kevin Pearson. Coach, thanks a lot for joining us.
I appreciate that. Thank you for those kind words.
We met a while back. We spent some time together at Irish Invasion years ago. Had some good talks. But what I really remember is he showed up at Irish Invasion with an 8th grade quarterback. Coach, how'd that 8th grader, how'd he turn out? Is he still playing or what?
He's still playing, surprisingly enough. And I would dare to say that he's a Heisman front runner right now. And I predicted that a few years ago. I can pull up my Twitter. Once he wins it, I'm going to pull up my Twitter and see what a great prophet I am. But yeah, he's a special young man. And brought him out to Notre Dame along with Hunter Echols, who's now at USC, and had a great time there.
Of course, we're talking about Bryce Young. So Coach was coaching Bryce Young when he was in 8th grade, and he was not out of place. He was a little guy, but he wasn't out of place at Irish Invasion years ago. And like I said, that's kind of where we met, and we've stayed in touch. And I know you were really struck by Notre Dame. I think that was your first time out there, and it really, really, spoke to you. What was it about Notre Dame that really hit you then?
Well, I've always been believe it or not, I've been a Notre Dame fan, and being a good Catholic boy that I am, that was always a school that we kind of rooted for outside of UCLA growing up. And not liking SC very much, I really, really rooted for Notre Dame anytime they played, except for UCLA. And but man, when I went out there, I was fortunate enough to work the camp that year in 2016. Bryce was just starting high school. He rolled in my high school. I took him and Hunter out there. And like I said, I was real blessed to be able to work that camp. And during the recruiting parent visits, my wife came along on the trip, and our kids were just starting high school at the time. So we I was a parent, so I tried to take advantage of that trip as much as I could. Went to all the parent meetings, and was just blown away with the academic success. I already knew about it, but I didn't know the numbers. Then I got to meet so many wonderful people there, and man, I was sitting there wishing that my son was one of these kids that they were trying to recruit, and just saying, yes, we'll when do we sign, And so, interestingly enough, we took our family back a month later, just to hope it would pique some interest in my son and daughter. My daughter's a really high level soccer player out here and on the West Coast, and she's got some stuff going on. And my son's a year older. He's a baseball guy, not a Division I guy probably, but he's good enough to play at some level. But they're both great students, and I would love for one of them to go to Notre Dame. I'm sorry, not UCLA. Well, UCLA as well, but really Notre Dame. So that's why we took the trip out there the following month, and I loved everything about the campus. What they had to say, spending the time with the coaches that I did. I like Coach Kelly a lot. He spent some time with me that he didn't have to do to his busy schedule, and I just fell in love with the place. I guess maybe re-fell in love with the place. Always wanted one of my players to play there selfishly as well. So every time I get a guy, national recruit, they're one of the first schools I call. And so, they were one of the ones I hit up immediately in January for Nico, and try to get the ball rolling early.
Okay. I'm going to butcher his last name. How do you pronounce his last name?
Well, I'm not going to say it real well. Iamaleava is how I say it, and that's about as close as I can get. But that's good enough. They're so wonderful. I called him Iamaleava when I first met him for probably the first 5 or 6 months, and I was talking on the phone with a coach or something. And then my wife heard me, and my wife she said as much as you coach Polynesians, don't you know that their name's phonetic? And I said, am I saying it wrong? She goes, yeah. She said it right, and so. I went up to Nico later. I said, Nico, how come you never correct him? And he just kind of being Nico. He's such a wonderful young man. He goes, oh, that's cool, coach. Everybody says it different. He goes, that's cool, coach. So, but I call him Iamaleava. That's how I say it, but it's close enough.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you hit me up too, and you said, hey, I got a guy, Christian. This guy is somebody that Notre Dame should probably be interested in. A little under the radar, especially with last year being crazy with everything. But I mean, man, you just look at his film. It's easy to see, why he's that guy. And obviously, since that time, people are recognizing him. What is it about him first as a player that makes him so special? And, this guy that's, people are calling a 5-star already.
Yes, the first thing that jumps out is his arm talent, and we had scrimmaged him. My first year at Warren was 2019, and we scrimmaged Long Beach Poly. He was a freshman, but he played against us, and I thought that, I go, this guy's going to be a 4-year starter, and he's just going to light it up. And they were, I think Long Beach Poly they had 2 really good quarterbacks in front of him, and I think they were just kind of taking it slow with him, and so he didn't get to play varsity that year, and then. I don't know what led to him leaving, but the dad had contacted us back in December of 2019 and asked to meet with me. And so, we met. I saw him throw again, impressed me again, which is easy to do when you watch him throw. And then I saw him at a camp with Malachi Nelson, and they were both at this camp together. And I remember it clearly. It was unfortunately the day that Kobe Bryant was killed, and so that day stands out tremendously for me. And being a Lakers fan, and so just his arm talent was just off the charts. And working, the Nike camps out here on the West Coast. I worked at LA and Oakland camps for 4 years, and I was blessed to coach in 2 U.S. Army games. The last time we had JT Daniels and Matt Corral, and on the other side was Trevor Lawrence. So I've seen a lot of big arms, and this guy, especially for his age, was better than anybody I'd ever seen. And so that was the first thing that you see. And then because of COVID, obviously we didn't get a chance to see him throw in the summer of 20 because we weren't allowed to use the ball until November. And then again, the arm wazoo and just kind of different. It's different. It comes off his hand different. He has one of the quickest releases I've ever seen. Somewhat to Bryce Young, quick like Bryce Young's is. And then we didn't play. The CIF shut us down, so we played a club schedule, and we played in Bullhead City, Arizona. And interesting enough, we played 2 games in 2 days. We had a December 20th and 29th. I remember this because I thought it was the most ludicrous thing I ever heard. We played at 5:30 on the 28th, and the next morning we came back and played a 10:30 a.m. game. And these kids hadn't been in pass literally for over a year. But Nico being Nico, that doesn't faze him. He was just excited to play. And to be honest with you, I found out there were some junior college players playing in this, supposedly high school league. And Nico was just phenomenal. His athleticism. So then his arm talent. Then I saw his athleticism. I saw his escape capability. I saw him transferring from the classroom that we were going over on Zoom to the field, and his intelligence stood out. And then you see his speed, and he's not I'm not going to say he's a burner. He's not going to be a zone read quarterback, but he has very good speed for a legit 6'6" guy. He can get on the edge and outrun guys, and he always makes the first guy miss, which is really cool for a 6'6" guy. And I said, after the first 2 games, I told his dad, I said, this is what I need. I cut this film up tonight. I remember it was a Monday night, and he cut it up, and I literally started sending it out the next day. And some coaches, a lot of coaches discounted the fact that we played a club league. They say, we want to see real football, they call it, a lot of some says real football and stuff. And I say, I was on the phone with a lot of guys, and I said, look, guys, I've been around long enough to know this guy's special. He's different than a lot of guys. I said, there's enough on this film to prove that, and some guys took it and some guys didn't, and so he started racking up some offers in January and throughout February and the spring, and then we had a spring league. He only played 4 games because we had a 5-game schedule. He had broke his finger, missed the first game, and he I think threw 18 touchdowns and 1 pick, and just was great. And then this year he's doing phenomenal, and he just gets better and better. And his ceiling is so high because he's only played, I think 8. He's only played 8 high school varsity games, and in 5 of those games he didn't play in the fourth quarter. So if you combine all the quarters he's probably played about 6.5, 7 games, and he gets better and better and better. And Eric Sonheimer, who the LA Times high school writer out here, he put out this past Sunday the top players in each position out here in Southern California, and he had Nico as the top quarterback, and that's saying something because we have a great one right down the road in Malachi Nelson, and I think that Nico is I think he's going to elevate a program. Believe it or not, not many kids can do that. I think in college, but he's one of those guys, and I've always compared him to Trevor Lawrence. I got to spend a week with Trevor in that U.S. Army deal and practicing against him a little bit and playing against him, and then really kind of following his career. I think he's just an outstanding young man, and I just root for him ever since I met him. So I follow his career really close at Clemson. And if you watch the two, they're very, very similar in their athleticism and how quick the ball gets out, how tough they are, how smart they are. So that, Greg Biggins out here, who's, 24/7 national analyst, he told me he reminded him of Marcus Mariota, and which I thought, well, that's interesting. It kind of does. But the more I see him, the more he reminds me of Trevor Lawrence. And that's speaking huge, because Trevor Lawrence, I think, is one of the best high school kids I've ever seen. In fact, I know he is. And so that's why I would compare him to. He's very comparable to Trevor Lawrence.
You talked about him off the field and just kind of his mannerisms, both, not correcting his name and just rolling with, playing 2 games in one day and playing against junior college kids when you're in high school. And you talked about his dad. I mean, what's he like off the field? And, he seems like he comes from a great family.
Oh, wonderful family. I mean, his family is very much into academics. It's really, really important to them. And that was one of the reasons why I had called Coach Dell and Notre Dame right away, and was able to get a hold of the offensive coordinator and spoke with Coach Rice, and then Aaron Cooney was kind of involved in that a lot for a while. But I feel that there's certain kids that are going to be success in life, not just in athletics, but you meet them, whether they're part of your program or you're a student, and you just know they're going to be successful because what a wonderful young man or woman they are, and Nico fits that mold. He's just I can't say enough good things about the kind of young man he is. I think one of the highest compliments you can pay any young person is that that's the type of kid you would let your daughter date and marry, right? And so I have a daughter, and I'm very choosy, right? For that, she's very precious, obviously, to me. And so he's that type of young guy that he says the right things, he does the right things, he lifts people up around him. We had a last game against Sarah High School, is usually a nationally ranked team and top ranked team in California, and I'm not lying when I say this. He had 12 drops, 12. And that's not exaggeration. He had 12 drops. And not one time did he show disgust towards his teammates. Did he put his head down? Did he put his hands up? Did he cover his face? Nothing. Like it was like they caught it. He's very encouraging. He'll go up and he'll pat him on the butt or back or whatever and give him a good, nice, encouraging word. And so he's special in that regard. And, he's just a great leader in that respect. So just like Bryce Young, it's funny. I've been blessed to coach these 2 young men, and everyone brings up Bryce Young, and well, they should, because he's just a phenomenal young man as well, and great family as well, and they're so comparable in how they are off the field, and so they're going to be successful in whatever they do. He could quit football right now, and he'll be a great father and probably own a business or run a business or something, because he's such a wonderful young man and pumps everybody up around him, and he's one of those guys that just makes everybody feel good when you're around him. So I'm really excited about him moving forward in the next level, and we still have another year with him. You obviously got to start thinking about the future, just like you would as a parent, and I do that as a head coach too. Not letting him overlook the moment, because we're very focused on what we do here and stuff. But he's such a young man that you got to think about the future, and so. His dad and I talk a lot about it. We've had many conversations about his plan for Nico, and he's done a wonderful job raising him and his mother. Oh my gosh, the most wonderful people you'd ever want to meet, and just love their sons. There's 8 kids, so there's a lot of people, a lot of kids in the household, and they're all wonderful people. It's just crazy. They're all exactly the same, and so I can't say enough things about them as parents, because it's refreshing to see parents who teach respect and love, and that family is about love. So, but they're just a blessing to have in our program.
Okay. And after that game, you mentioned, talk about his future. He hopped on a plane and flew out to South Bend. Got a chance to check out Notre Dame. Officially picked up a scholarship offer from the Irish while he was out there for the visit. I spoke with him afterwards. He was very excited. Told me he's definitely going to get back out to Notre Dame for the USC game next month. So the Irish, it seems like they're players in this. He's going to have a lot of great options just because of all the things you've said before, but sounds like Notre Dame's in the mix.
They are, and it's funny that you said the word player, because that's exactly what I when I spoke with him after the trip, that's the first thing I said. I say, yeah, they're real players in this, and he says, "Oh, absolutely, coach." He goes, I love that." He goes, "I love the people, I love the atmosphere, I love the school, I love the tradition." He was very excited. He was able to take that trip, and Notre Dame's definitely on their list, and they don't BS about that. The dad and I talk a lot about where they stand, and Nico about where they stand on certain schools and what they're thinking and what their plan is moving forward and stuff. And Notre Dame's jumped into that conversation big time.
Okay, great. All right, Coach. Well, hey, appreciate it. It's easy to see now, anyone that watched this, why you're on that list for me for favorite coaches in America. Really appreciate the time, and obviously be watching you guys and watching Nico closely. Good luck with the rest of the season.
I appreciate you, Chris. Anytime, man. You do a great job in what you do, and I appreciate all you've done too for us.